Hare Krishna, our great fortune once again to hear His Holiness Bhakti Vigvinasham Narsingh Swami Maharaj addressing to all the devotees in Sri Dham Mayapur for Bhakti-Shastri course, and we are going with final unit 5 of Sri Ishopanishad, and this is day 3 of the session on 22nd of January 2014, and this is part 1 of the morning session, and today we are starting with mantra 1 of Ishopanishad. Hare Krishna.
Okay, welcome to the third lesson of Ishopanishad. Lesson 3, right? But before we go on to lesson 3, let us review what we covered in the first 2 days. Right? First of all, we were talking on Prabhupada's, we were looking at the introduction to the Vedas, and we were noticing the Vedas is described is subdivided into 2 divisions, right? What are they? The Shruti and the Smriti. And the Shruti is like the mother. Why?
We take knowledge from mother.
Yes. What knowledge do you take from the mother?
About the father.
Right. Yeah, knowledge about the father. The mother will tell you about the father, right? And so in the same way the Vedas tell us everything about the Supreme Father, and the Smriti is giving us, that's like...
Reference. Mother.
Yeah, Smriti means remembering. It's like hearing from the sister, right? Okay, so we were explaining Vedic knowledge is perfect knowledge. Why? Because why is it authoritative?
Because it comes from Krishna.
Aparusha. Purusha means person, aparusha means not a person. Well, what's wrong with being a person?
4 defects.
4 defects, conditioned souls, right? 4 defects. And what are they? Okay. And we said also there were 3 sources of evidence. The 3 sources of evidence were? Pratyaksha, first of all, sense perception, and then Anuman, and then Shabda. Right, okay, so we accept Shabda as being the absolute source of knowledge, perfect knowledge, because senses are imperfect, propensity to cheat, make mistakes, delusion, all these things. So there's 2 sources, 2 ways by which we can get knowledge. One is called the ascending process, and the other is the descending process. So what's wrong with the ascending process?
We cannot cover all the possibilities. Say somebody tells you, well, man is mortal. By the ascending process, you have to go to every man and find out whether he's mortal or not.
Right. Yes, right. Just like if you're following the process of Jnana Yoga, do you make advancement very quickly when you follow the process of Jnana? Do they make advancement quick? What does the Bhagavad Gita say?
Many births.
Yes, Bahunam Janmanamanti. After many births and deaths, when one is actually in knowledge, then he surrenders. So they make advancement very slowly. So the ascending process is like that. You're going up. If you go up, it's a lot of trouble. It takes a lot of time. You know, if you're going up to some temple or up the mountain, it's not too easy to go up. You can come down pretty quick. It's usually quite fast when you come down, but going up is a lot of trouble. So in the same way with knowledge, it's much easier to hear, to have the knowledge passed down. And this is the system of, that's why we follow what system for knowledge? Disciplic succession, right. We get knowledge through the parampara. We hear from the the Lord and from His devotees, and this is all there in the Vedas. And the Shruti, that is the eternal Vedic literature, that is not altered, not changed, it's just passed on. But the Smriti, that can be changed in time, that there's new literatures being written, Bhakti-Shastris, we said Jiva Goswami, his writings are also part of the Smriti, and the Chaitanya Charitamrita, Chaitanya Bhagavat, these books, they're all Bhakti-Shastra. So they're also considered Smriti. And we accept them also as being sources of reference. So then yesterday we spoke about the invocation mantra. Right? So what is the meaning if we say Om Purnam Ada? What does it mean? What is complete? And that complete whole is Purnam. Purnam meaning perfect and complete. Perfect and complete. So the personality of Godhead was described in the invocation that He is perfect and complete. Om Purnam Ada Purnamidam Purnat Purnam Udachyate. Udachyate meaning what? Producing something. What is the absolute truth producing?
Complete unit.
So many units in the form of living entities. What else? What is coming from the absolute? The whole material world, the cosmic manifestation, all the universes. Yeah, they're all coming from that one Supreme Lord. And each of these universes are complete, right? Om Purnam Ada Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudichyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnam Eva Vashishite. Purnasya Purnamadaya meaning taken away. And then Eva Vashishite meaning what is remaining. What is remaining is also Purnam. Right? We talked about spiritual mathematics. Krishna plus everything is Krishna. And Krishna minus everything is Krishna. Right. So 1 plus 1 is and 1 minus 1 is yes, it's spiritual mathematics. Right. So we have to remember that the examples of Purnam, Prabhupada talked, he gives some examples about Purnam, illustrating the example of Purnam. He said just like the ocean. You go to the ocean and you can take millions of buckets of water out of the ocean. Is it going to reduce the ocean? Or even you go to the Ganga. You can take a lot of water out of the Ganga. Is it going to make any difference to the Ganga? And that is the example. Purnam, just like Krishna. So many things, so much is coming from Him. But he's not affected by it. He still remains Purnam. He still remains complete, perfectly balanced. And then the other example Prabhupada gives is of the sun. That every day, maybe not today, but usually, that's why we have the classes at this time of the year. This is the best time of the year for studying. You can't really do much else when the weather is like this, right? It's actually good because when it gets really hot, if you come to the classroom, it's so hot, you feel sleepy. But when it's like this, it's a bit easier to be attentive. It's the best time of the year to do studying, in Mayapur anyway. So we were talking about the sun, that so much heat and light is coming from the sun. But is the sun reduced at all? Every day continue, even though the winter comes and then so many things are going on, the seasons come and go, but every year, every day the sun is there producing, giving off so much heat, so much light is coming from the sun. So it's not reduced. We don't have any example like that. We light a fire, and you have to put more fuel on the fire. If you have a generator, you have to put more oil in, you have to put more diesel in the car. It to keep the power going. But the sun every day continues to supply so much heat and light. So this is like Krishna. This is also Purnam. That he, although so many things are coming from him, he is not reduced. He remains complete. Okay? So in this way we describe Purnam. And the Mayavadis, they, of course, they see the world in a different way. They say that the world becomes God. That if there's a supreme, it's manifested in the form of this world. So then Prabhupada explains that if God becomes the world, then God is reduced. Then what kind of God is that? He becomes zero. So God cannot be zero. The Mayavadis, they make it like that. They want to make everything zero or everything one. But we understand that he has inconceivable potencies. And from that supreme transcendental person, so many units emanate, and still he remains complete. So we can see very clearly why that invocation mantra is included within this Ishopanishad. Although it was not actually part of the Ishopanishad, but it is included there within the text. It's very much related to the subject matter. Okay, so we're going to go on now to the first mantra of this. That we can chant this mantra. Everyone chant. Yeah. So this is one of your memorization mantras, right? Have you all memorized? You all done your sloka test? Not yet. Some of you still have to do it. So, the personality of Godhead. What's the first one? Or we can chant the invocation. Om. These two verses, the invocation and the first mantra, are often quoted by Prabhupada. They're often used. They're very important, very valuable texts to use and quote when we are giving class. If you go on to Bhakti Vaibhav, then you're expected to make a presentation, and in the course of your presentation you're expected to use so many Sanskrit verses. We hear Prabhupada's lectures, he's always quoting verses from scripture. So memorizing some of these important verses is very useful because it makes our preaching authoritative. People can respect that this is a text, this is a statement from scripture. It's not just our own ideas, or we're not just saying something from the top of our head, but it's coming from authorized texts. So the first mantra, Isha Vashyam. Isha Vashyam, Prabhupada is speaking about that. The translation, who has memorized the translation? Yes? Can tell us?
Everything animate or inanimate that speaks about the own concept of God. Also therefore accept all this express from the text.
Very good, yes. We're going to look at these words. Let's see. Okay, that's the translation. Isha. This is Ishopanishad, right? We're studying the Ishopanishad. Isha means by the Lord. Isha, like coming from Ishwara. Ishwara meaning the controller. So Isha, by the Lord. And then Avashyam, owned and controlled. So that we understand immediately from the very first word of this first mantra, it is saying everything is owned and controlled by the Lord, by the Supreme, whoever is the Supreme. Prabhupada doesn't mention Krishna, he doesn't say, just say by the Lord, by that Supreme. But there is some Supreme there. Somebody is there's some controlling potency, there's some proprietorship. Who owns it? That Isha, that one Supreme Personality who is behind everything. There's a common saying in India, right? They say, Kali hath ayate, Kali hath cholo. That you're born in the world with nothing in your hand. You come empty-handed. And when you leave also empty-handed. But they also point out, when the child is born, the hand is closed. That we come into this world with the idea of thinking we'll get something. But when we leave the world, the hand opens. You have to leave it all behind. So nothing is actually ours. We didn't bring anything here with us, and we won't take anything of it with us. In the Srimad Bhagavatam it talks about how Mother Earth is laughing at these great kings who lead their armies and who fight with each other over proprietorship. They're fighting, this land is our land, and the other army saying, no, it's our land. And the two armies, the two kings are fighting each other, and they kill each other, and they all die. The land was there before the kings came, and the land remains after they go. But they kill each other over the land, being the proprietor. So this is the illusion of the material world, that we are thinking we are the proprietor. We have this desire to get and to enjoy. We're thinking it's for our enjoyment. And this is the cause of our entanglement in the material world. So Ishavashyam, this Ishopanishad is beginning, very beginning, the first word. Everything is owned and controlled by the Lord. It's not for us, right? Remember the Trinity. We should accept. Okay, where is everything animate and inanimate. Are you animate or inanimate? You're animate, right? Everybody here animate? Yeah? You agree? Okay, good. Are you controlled or not controlled? Yeah, anybody not controlled? No. We're all controlled. We're the animate potence, and we're all controlled. We're not God. We're not the controller. We're all controlled. People should accept that. Everything is controlled and owned by the Lord. We should therefore accept. If we understand it's not our property, doesn't belong to us, but at the same time He's our Father, right? So we may think if He's our Father, we should take as much as we like, right? You know, anyway, it's all my Father, so let me take as much as I want. Is that the right thinking? Not exactly, no. We shouldn't really be thinking. Rather, we should take what is necessary for ourselves. Well, what's necessary for... I need a lot, you know. What's necessary for him, that he doesn't need much, but I need more than him. I'm not him. We have to accept only those things necessary. What is our quota? Taking what is our quota, and don't take more than that. So this is something we want to look at today. We want to consider what is our quota. You know, just like if you ask a Mataji, Mataji, how many saris do you need? Prabhupada said the average Mataji needs about 30 saris. Anybody here got 30 dhotis? You know, they're Matajis, you know. Matajis, it's different, you know. Their quota is different. Now, somebody's a Brahmana, you know, he doesn't need a lot. But, if somebody's a Vaishya or a Kshatriya, you know, they won't need much more. You know, they need different suits, different dress, different outfits, they have to have their wardrobes everywhere, So the quota is going to be different for different people. Now, brahmachari, brahmachari can live very simply. How much the Mayapur brahmacharis get every month? What's their salary? How much is it given? A Mayapur brahmachari, how much he gets every month? 400 now. It went up. because the rupee went down. So they get 400 a month. Just about enough to buy toothpaste and shaving and a new piece of cloth sometimes. Yeah, it's not a lot. 400 rupees. So brahmachari, but could you give that 400 rupees to a householder? Can they manage on 400 rupees, not the same. So quotas are different thing, different issues. We're going to look at that. Okay, so everything is owned and controlled by the Lord. We have to accept that it's not ours, it's not mine, belongs to Krishna. What does Krishna say in the Bhagavad Gita? The peace formula? Yeah, Krishna is described as Maheshwara. Everything is his property, all the planets, everything belongs to him. He is the proprietor. We are not the proprietor. When we remember that, then we can be peaceful. So, then Prabhupada goes into a discussion about energies, because we say Krishna is the proprietor. All right, or the Isha rather. The Isha, the Supreme Lord, is the proprietor of everything. So what does that mean? What is he the proprietor of? So then Prabhupada expands about the different energies of the Lord. What are his energies? And there are two main energies mentioned here. The para prakriti, which is the spiritual energy, meaning like what? What is spiritual energy? Give some examples.
The spirit soul.
The spirit soul, okay, yes. Some more? Spiritual energy. The holy name, yeah. Radharani, yes. The gopis. The spiritual world, prasadam, okay. Yeah. So spiritual energies. And the apara prakriti, meaning the inferior energy or the material energy, which is inanimate, that is, what is that? Apara prakriti, give some examples. The gross elements, okay. Anything else? The subtle elements also, yeah. And Prabhupada asked the devotees, he was talking to the devotees and he asked them, why is the living entity the superior energy? Why is it para prakriti? What's the difference between the spiritual, the living entity and the material energy? Why is the living entity considered superior?
Because it exploits the superior energy. You can use the superior energy for some sort of purpose.
Yes, the living entity can make use of the material energy. Any other reasons?
He has consciousness.
Consciousness, yes, there's consciousness in the living, in the spirit, in the para prakriti. Para prakriti has consciousness, the living entity is conscious. The material energy, this table is not conscious, the floor is not conscious, right? But the living entities, they're conscious. And we can make use, as Prabhu said, we can make use of the material energy. We can take them and combine them and do different things with them produce other things from them, modify them, transform them. So the spiritual energy is para prakriti, superior energy to the material energy. That we can utilize it in this way. However, we should remember that it's not ours. It doesn't belong to us. Prabhupada gives an example. What does he say? What's the example Prabhupada gives? Oh, I was telling that story. You mean the story I was telling yesterday? Huh? Yeah, I told that yesterday that the oil doesn't belong to the man. Yeah, but Prabhupada in the text, in the purport, he gives an example. He says, just like you may employ someone to build a house for you. He builds a house, you have a worker. Say you have some property over here in Mayapur, in Goranagar, and you want to build a house. Now, you're going to hire some workers to come and do the construction for you. Now, they come and do the construction. They can't say, okay, it's our house now. We built it. It's our house. You hired them to come and build the house for you. You give them all the materials, you arrange the land and everything. They're your workers. They cannot say, okay, the house is ours, we built it. And similarly, we cannot think that everything belongs to us in this world, because it's not our property, not our materials. Who provided everything? We said we came empty-handed. Nothing was ours, but we are claiming this is mine. Prabhupada talks about how, Mahatma Gandhi, he said, we want India for the Indians. Everybody else get out. Prabhupada said, this is nationalism, you see. We are thinking the country belongs to us. But there was no such country as India 500 years ago. These are just some designations which we are putting on the country. And similarly with America. The Europeans went to America, and then they killed all the Red Indians, and then took over the country. And then they make an immigration department, and then they say, no, you can't come. They stole the country from all the Indians. They came there and killed all the Red Indians, took over the country, and then they say, why you're coming here? This is our country. You have to come through immigration. Are you qualified? Do we want you in our country? And they can send you back. This is thief. Right? They stole the country from the original inhabitants. Isn't it, Prabhu? Nityanandaram Prabhu? Worse than that. Yeah, it's worse than that. Yeah, it's actually worse than that. Yeah. But this is what goes on in the world. We're claiming this is mine. This is our. We were all thieves. And among thieves, is there morality? The thieves, when they get together, the thieves go in the village and they break in different houses and steal a whole bunch of stuff. And after they've stolen everything, they said, now let's divide it all honestly. We should divide it fairly, right? They stole everything, and they're going to divide it. So this is the morality of thieves. This is the nature of the world which we're living in today. It's just a place of thieves. The famous story Prabhupada tells about, is it Alexander the Great? Yes. And a little thief, and he was going to punish the little thief, and the little thief said to him, he said, why are you punishing me? You're a big thief. He said, you went everywhere and plundered and killed people. I only robbed a little, I only stole a little bit, but you stole a lot. And Alexander the Great thought, he's actually right. He thought, he said, get out of here, go. And let him off. Because the man was speaking the truth. Big thieves and little thieves. Similarly, there was another incident. Prabhupada was in Mayapur. He was here in Mayapur. In the old Lotus building, Prabhupada's quarters were there. Some man came, life members. They used to come, visit Mayapur. They still come in their car. So one man came, he met Prabhupada. So Prabhupada was asking him, what business do you do? The man said, I have a glass factory. And Prabhupada said, glass factory. He said, how do you make the glass? So then the man started telling him about, you get some sand and you use the sand to make silicone. And he was describing the whole process, how they make the glass. And then Prabhupada said to him, yes, and where do you get the sand? And the man said, well, I have we have a sand mine. We dig it out from the ground and everything. And Prabhupada said, yes, and whose sand is it? And the man saying, first, well, it's our sand, it's our mine and everything. But Prabhupada said, yes, whose land is it? And then the man began to understand, and he said, well, everything is Krishna's. And then Prabhupada turns to Swarup Damodar Maharaj, who was there at the time, and he said to him, did you hear what he said? He said everything is Krishna's. And Swarup Damodar Maharaj immediately said, he's a thief, Prabhupada, he's a thief. So then Prabhupada turns to the man and said, he says you are a thief. And so then the man feeling a little humble, and said, I'm also a life member, I give donations to Krishna. So then Prabhupada said, you're just a little thief then. This is the way of the world. Everyone is actually thieves. What is ours? Nothing belongs to us. It's all given by the grace of Krishna. So this first mantra, very important for us to understand. Prabhupada explains, there is nothing in the universe that does not belong to either the para or the apara prakriti. Therefore, everything is the property of the Supreme Being. Everything. Now, this is something revolutionary. This is, very important to get into people's minds, to help get them to understand. It's not ours. The disease is to think this is mine, right? This is all what we call ahankar. We are thinking, I am this body. This belongs to me. The first thing is to think I am the body, and then we identify with everything in relation to the body. So this belongs to me. But this first mantra, the very beginning, is stressing the importance. We are not the proprietor. Everything belongs to the Supreme Being. So, Prabhupada then speaks about Bhagavat communism. Remember, this was written, we were telling you, Prabhupada wrote these purports to the mantras. It was way back, maybe in 1950s or something, he wrote these things. Because they were published first in the very, very early Back to Godhead magazines which Prabhupada published, which were just sheets of paper. And then later on he put them together in the book when he went to America. So in those days, in the 50s, 60s, in that time, Russia was communist and China was fully into communism. And, communism was really powerful. It was really a big force. And you had communist movements in many parts of the world. In South America it was going on. You had Che Guevara and all these people. You had Cuba and Castro. And you had a lot of conflict, tension there between East and West, and communism and capitalism. So we find this coming up in Prabhupada's purport. Prabhupada was writing about the mood, the political mood at that time. And he talks about the communism that is very relevant in this particular case when we talk about proprietorship. Because anybody here from a communist country or a country that was communist? Yeah? Where are you from? Latvia? Oh, okay. Bulgaria? Mm-hmm. So in communist countries we say everything belongs to the state. Yeah, everything's the property of the state. Nobody owns anything. It's all the property of the state. And so this is communism. As the communists say, everything belongs to the state. We say everything belongs to God. We never say anything belongs to anyone. No, this is Bhagavad communism. Everything belongs to God. Prabhupada calls it sometimes spiritual communism. That everything belongs to Krishna, belongs to God. We agree. We like this communism actually. That's why we see often in communist countries we have a very good platform for preaching to people. We can see how Krishna consciousness is spread so well in Russia and in the other associated countries. That people can appreciate this need that actually nothing is ours. They're not so attached. In the capitalist countries we're all thinking, I have to get rich, I have to get power. But in the communist states there's not so much greed there. Because the understanding is everything belongs to the state, working for others. So, we should not take anything neglectfully. Neither we should be careless to take care of Krishna's property, Krishna's living beings, Krishna's house, Krishna's temple, Krishna's business. Now, it doesn't always work like that. Prabhupada is saying we should not be neglectful. But we often find that if something belongs to Krishna, we don't take care of it. We think, it's the temple, it's Krishna's, it's not mine, it belongs to the state. But when you give somebody you tell them this is yours, then, they really take care of it. They value it much more. There's a saying, they say, proprietorship turns sand into gold. Proprietorship. When you give somebody ownership, you make him the proprietor of this. Then even it's not very valuable, just some sand, but it will become like gold because it's theirs. They will value it even more. Because this is mine, I'm going to take care of it. But when we think, this is not mine, it just belongs to the state, it just belongs to the temple. You have a car. I had the experience, I remember as a young devotee, we had Sankirtan vehicles, and you give the vehicle every day, they get a different vehicle. You take this vehicle today, you go out and book distribution. And they come back and, the next day somebody else takes the car, a different group of people take that car, and they find, there's no air in the tires, they never put water in the radiator, oh God, there's no gas hardly, they never bother because they think, let somebody else do it, it's not mine. That mood is often there, even among devotees sometimes. Sometimes it's we become more neglectful thinking it belongs to Krishna. If we think it's mine, we take a lot more care of it. But when we think it belongs to Krishna, sometimes we think, somebody else will do it. Let somebody else do it. That is not a good mood. So Prabhupada is saying here, we should not be neglectful. Neither we should be careless. We have to take care. Maybe some of you can think of some examples how Prabhupada taught us as the Acharya. He taught us how we should take care of things.
he was having a lot of correspondence with these devotees, caring about each other, very personal. Very many letters. So he was caring about the movement very much, about his consciousness of everything.
Okay. Yeah, he was concerned for everyone. But I was thinking particularly taking care of property, houses, business.
Bombay, the case of Bombay, Juhu.
The Juhu land. Yeah. What happened? Do you know the story?
Like Prabhupada literally fought for it. Like Prabhupada was angry also, but regarding this context, like Prabhupada was connecting the thing and was very much concerned.
Yeah, at one point even the devotees were giving up the property. The devotees decided, oh, it's too far away, Juhu, it's away out of Bombay, it's just too remote, and the whole place is a swamp, and just so many mosquitoes are there, we can't live there, we can't have and they decided it's not worth even fighting for. Practically they've given up on the land. But Prabhupada never gave up, and Prabhupada, he fought back and he got the land. He wanted to keep the land and take care of it. But even little things Prabhupada was showing us. Prabhu? Yes, good, yeah.
So to the study, Maharaj, there's a lot of our chairs in here, we need them back. Our students are standing.
Okay, we got a lot of empty chairs here.
And these belong to Mayapur Academy, this whole row. Our students have to stand.
See, we're just talking about proprietorship here, This is it. You're going against Ishopanishad. It all belongs to Krishna. Oh, no. Is that it? Have you got them all?
You got enough? That's everything, I think. Okay.
We didn't take them.
Okay, there's still some empty chairs. Okay, that was a nice example, Prabhu. Yeah, Prabhupada was on a morning walk. The devotees were walking along a street somewhere, and Prabhupada noticed someone else's house, not even a devotee's house or anything, but he saw in the garden the tap was running, and Prabhupada told the devotee, go and turn that tap off. He didn't like to waste Krishna's energy. Any other example?
I don't remember where I heard this, but I think there was one time where Prabhupada walked into a room and the fan was left on.
Yeah, right. It's here in Mayapur. Yeah, here in Mayapur, Prabhupada leave the fans running in the room. There was no air conditioners, but just having a fan running. Prabhupada didn't like it. Nobody in the room. Why they have the fan running? What is this? You're just sucking the blood. Just wasting. Very careful. Any more?
He was walking around the Mayapur, he saw one of the toilets, and he really got on the case. In fact, he gave that morning Bhagavatam, a lot of it was just on how to keep things clean, because he got so outraged when he saw one of the toilets.
Yeah, right. it was the outhouse. The people were living on the wall there in those rooms along the wall, and they were using. There was a building constructed which was just toilets and showers, and so the people who lived on the wall would use those toilets and showers. So many of them were maybe Bengali people, and maybe not so familiar with using toilets and so on. But Prabhupada, when he would come to Mayapur, he would want to go around and inspect. And when he saw that the toilet was not cleaned properly, then Prabhupada was very upset. And Prabhupada gave an example. He gave a chemical formula. Maybe some of you know chemistry. You know, it's a formula, a base plus an acid will give salt plus water. Very basic chemical equation. I remember studying chemistry at school, and it's one of the first things you learn. A base means like sodium hydroxide plus hydrochloric acid will give sodium chloride plus water. It's a chemical formula. Whenever a base is in contact with an acid, there will be a reaction. There must be a reaction. And Prabhupada said, in the same way, he said, when a Brahmana contacts a dirty place, he has to clean it. Cannot leave it dirty. So Prabhupada, like that, was preaching to all of us, telling and instilling in us how we have to be, how we have to take care of things. The Brahmana cannot say, I never made it dirty. If a place is dirty, the Brahmana should clean it. You see paper on the floor, you should pick it up. We shouldn't say, I never threw it there. But we don't like to keep things dirty. We should keep everything nice and clean. This is taking care of Krishna's property. Prabhupada was always concerned for these things. The temple should be nice, kept clean every day. Torah, clean. You wash with water every day, the marble will shine. If you wash it with water every day, you don't have to polish it or anything, just have to wash it every day, and it will naturally shine. So like this, Prabhupada showed us how to do all of these things. Any more examples? Prabhu?
There is one example about the money transfer from Bombay to Vrindavan, and it was about few thousands of rupees. And when this devotee tried to send this money to Vrindavan, he was going by train, and on the door Prabhupada asked him, and how much is the rickshaw from Krishna Bharata Mandir to the post office? And he said something, 20-30 rupees. He asked him how much is the letter from Bombay to Vrindavan, and he said only few rupees. And Prabhupada said then send this letter. Don't go by rickshaw, don't spend your money. So the letter is only few rupees, and the rickshaw is 30-40 rupees, and Prabhupada calculated how to use this only few rupees.
Okay, I never heard this before. Any other examples? Prabhupada? There was one thing that said when Prabhupada would get the letter, he would use the envelope. He would open the envelope and then he would write on the insides of the envelope. He used everything, every piece of scrap of paper, you'd be writing on.
Right from the beginning, there's a diary, Prabhupada's diary in the early 65 in New York, and every day was writing like collections, $3.56, and like 17 cents bus. And the different things, he was keeping a ledger every penny.
Yeah, right. Prabhupada always kept his own accounts. How much he was spending on transportation, how much he was spending on vegetables, everything. He kept his own account, even as alone on his own. Still, he'd be documenting everything, keeping accounts like that, being careful how to use Krishna's property. Prabhupada was very concerned. I remember in London, because we were registered there, we were registered as a charity, so every year they audit the accounts. because we have tax exemption for donations. And similarly in India also we're registered, so every center, their accounts are audited, and that allows them to have tax exemption. And so it's very important that temples also keep accounts, and that way then people they know what's going on, what's happening. Money is coming in, people may question, how's the money being used? Okay, we have accounts, we can show you the accounts. So Prabhupada wanted all of these things because we're taking care of Krishna's property. We have to take care of it. The cars, they have to be properly taken care of. Everything, the buildings, the temples, all of these things. Okay? Krishna's, everything Krishna's. Isavashyam idam sarvam yat kincha jagatyam jagat. If we think like that, then that is perfect Krishna consciousness. If we think like that, think like what? That everything belongs to Krishna. Yes, that Krishna is the proprietor. It's all His. And we are Krishna's servants. We are using it for Krishna's service. Then, tena chaktena bunjitaha. Means what? Tena chaktena bunjitaha means we should take how much? Take our quota, right? We should take, not that I'm going to take the whole lot, it's all my father's, so I'll take everything. No, take our quota. Take what we need. Tena, by him. Set apart quota. You should accept, bunjita. Accept what we need, what is necessary for herself. One should therefore accept only those things necessary for himself, which are set aside as his quota. This is, as we said, will be different for different people, different situations. What is our quota? We ask you, select incidents, pictures. I don't have any articles or pictures, but maybe you can think of some incidents. And in the political world, in the news, these kind of things, where solutions would be achieved if the Ishopanishad principle were to be applied. You can discuss, sit with some friend and think of some incidents where we have some serious problem. Some problem which, if we had applied this Ishopanishad principle, that everything belongs to the Lord, there would not be this problem. Say, okay, sit in groups, twos and threes, and just discuss. Come up with some, I want to hear some incident, something you can think of, which brings out how this Ishopanishad principle could save so much conflict, so much problems, wars even could have been solved, could have been ended by applying the Ishopanishad principle.
The living beings, right? There's written everything belongs to Prabhupada, saying everything belongs to all to Paraprakrit, all to Aparaprakrit. I was just wondering what belongs to Paraprakrit, because it says that nothing belongs to us.
We belong to Krishna. Everything is Para and I work on Krishna.
Because I was confused because it is written everything belongs or to Paraprakriti or to Aparaprakriti. I was just wondering what belongs to Paraprakriti. But it doesn't.
That means that there's two energies, Para or Apara. Not that something belongs to it, but Para or Apara. Nothing else. Separate. Okay, can we have some contributions? Did you come up with some incident? Yes, Prabhu? And over here, with Abai? Yes? Yeah, you can come.
We see in the practical world two brothers are fighting for the property. So this is my saying that. So this is the practical incident, and if they were taught this Ishopanishad principle, then their mentality would be like this, that all belongs to Krishna, and there would be no fighting for the property. And the second example is someone is hiring few gang of people to kill another person just to acquire some property and riches. So this is also going in the practical world.
Okay.
Thank you.
Two brothers fighting. This is a very common scenario. Family dispute. You know, it's a very common thing. You know, Prabhupada writes in the Bhagavatam how for even a fraction of a coin, a fraction of a penny, even a very small amount, the family can fight and they can never speak to each other. It's very bitter things, you know. That I know also there was one case, there were two sisters, and the father had promised something to one sister, but the other sister, you know, after the father died, the other sister opposed it, and big conflict, you know, two sisters fighting. So everyone's in this consciousness that, you know, this is for me, it's for me to enjoy. Nobody has the mood that actually it belongs to Krishna, belongs to the Lord. There was another case, we had one devotee, he was murdered. He was a tax officer in one place. And he was a tax officer, and as a tax officer, you know, you get a lot of bribes. And he made the mistake of, you know, taking this job, and he got, you know, involved in taking a lot of bribes. But when you take bribes, you also get enemies. Yeah. So he was a devotee, but at the same time he had something of, there must have been some enjoying propensity there. You know, it wasn't just taking what was his quota, but he'd take every opportunity to take money from people, and the result was he made an enemy, and that man came and killed him. Somebody came and killed him. Some parts of the world, life is like that. You just pay some money and you can have people killed. So these things are going on. Some more examples? Yeah?
I was just thinking, when I was in Sankirtan, I saw we have 10 buses, so sometimes one bus leader gets a little bit disappointed when another bus of devotees come in his area and start selling the books. So then there's a little bit of some misunderstanding. So I thought what is that all about? Everyone in the family, we're all supposed to sell. I mean, the more books go out, that's all the better. So why fight? But then I read something from Prabhupada. He was saying that just like Chandravali is my only sister, I believe, isn't it? Yeah, they're both having competition who serve Krishna. So in that sense, Krishna is still the center of the service.
Yeah, good that you bring up an interesting situation, how in the temples even sometimes we need to have more Ishavasya understanding. Nityananda Ram Prabhu.
I'm going to do it. Once upon a time, in a land far, far away, there was a king of a piece of property belonging to ISKCON. And he sent his book distributors far and wide, all over America and most of the world, to collect Lakshmi and sell things. And it disturbed the Vaishnavas terribly because he considered all of the world his. And by sending out the book distributors and collectors worldwide, he created great divisions. And eventually he went away and the problem was solved.
Some more incidents, maybe not so much with ISKCON yet, trying to keep out of ISKCON politics.
Yeah, Maharaj, I have two solutions or two problems. The one is, Prabhupada said, if you put a bag of rice in the street, the birds will come and eat. What will fill their stomach? A human being will carry all the whole bag. And this one is like a bitter truth I want to give. All of you can see. This is America. This is Europe. This India. Africa is in the middle. All the powers of the world. Africa have all the mines, gold, diamond, oil. So from Africa, they get all these things to develop this whole part of the world. So they've come and conquered the whole of Africa and take everything from us. Today, we don't have anything again. So this is what's going on. Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Prabhu. Very interesting. It's more of a personal incident, or well, not an incident, but it's this Ishopanishad principle has helped me still sometimes in my life. Like sometimes you have a tendency to see other people's property. Oh, he has so much, or different things like that. This kind of, and then I'm reminded of the Ishopanishad principle, and everybody has this quota, or in a more elaborate. Then it's like that, the quota principle. Yeah. So, I mean, if people would apply it to themselves, that would be a good start. Yeah. Well, certainly, it starts with the individual. We have to start. I mean, it's not just preaching to everybody else. We have to show the example ourselves.
I have a question.
Yeah?
Was this principle generally in use when Bharat was king of the world?
When Bharat was king of the world? Yeah, certainly. Bharat Maharaj is a great devotee. He would preach this.
But the population generally had this.
Yeah, generally.
Yeah.
That mood would be there. Yeah. This Prabhu? Ananda Mohan.
It's not a solution, it's just a problem. This one aspect can solve one of the major problems of the Indian government today. It's falling here. Pakistan occupied Kashmir. No solution. Decades have passed. Governments and governments, presidents and prime ministers. It's there even this morning, and it's there for decades. Pakistan occupied Kashmir. Terrorists coming, and then it's a very dangerous place. Borderline. No solution till
Very good. Yeah. They're claiming, this is my land. India is saying it's mine. Pakistan saying it's mine.
Prime Minister to Prime Minister, Prime Minister to Prime Minister.
Yeah.
No solution.
Very good. India, Pakistan, it goes on. And then it goes on also with China and the China and Japan. There was some disputed territory. Always different border disputes going on.
There's a few stories that came out when eBay sort of first started, which is like an auctioning site. And there was somebody who was trying to sell the sun, to put the sun on auction. There was somebody who was trying to sell the sun on the internet.
Sell the sun?
Yeah.
Did they make a lot of money? Did they get a buyer? Yeah. Very good. Yeah, people want to... There was also, I remember, the Falklands War. The Falklands. Tiny little islands with nothing practically in remote part of the world, away down in South America, off the coast of Argentina. There were these islands called the Falklands, and it was British territory somehow. And Argentina at one point decided they wanted to take proprietorship of these islands. And the British said, no, these islands are ours. And they had a war. And so many people died, and bombs and planes were blown up and ships sank, and so much killing. And after the war, they took the relatives of some of the people who were killed in the war, they took them to see the land. And when they went and saw the land, they were disgusted. They said, for these miserable little islands with nothing on it, our sons were killed. They had to take part in this war, meaningless war for some meaningless islands. But all in the name of politics, all in the name of the lack of the Ishopanishad. They're all claiming proprietorship.
Interested in knowing who won that war. Who won that war?
The British won it eventually because they have professional army. Argentina didn't have a big, strong army, military force.
Already, Canada, the United States, and Russia and Japan are having military conversations about dividing up the moon.
Dividing up the moon.
Yeah, Canada's already said that they're going to claim a large part of it, and the United States says no, we're going to. And Russia is in a race to actually establish something up there so they can lay claim to large parts of it.
Yeah. So actually, you were saying who won the war? Nobody wins the war. Everybody loses. That's the nature of these wars, that actually nobody wins. Everything belongs to Krishna. And it's simply more ignorance to think, now it's mine. Okay, so this Ishopanishad principle, not more than what we require. Whatever wealth is there within the universe, all belongs to God. And we are, as sons of God, we have got right to take advantage of this wealth. But not more than what I require. That's all. This is spiritual communism. If you take more, then you become punished. This is the law of nature. Prabhupada gives some examples about not taking more in the purport. What are the examples? Read your purport. Do you remember, Prabhu?
One example is cows take grass.
Very good, right. Yeah. The cow takes grass and straw. And he gives milk. He's satisfied. The cow is happy. He gets his grass. He takes his quota. And he's providing. In return, he gives milk. Simple example. So, in the same way, we also have to understand not to take more. When it comes to prasadam, how much to take, right? What does the Ayurveda say about taking food? How much to take? 50% food, and then?
25% water, 25% air.
Okay. Yeah, sometimes it's said different ways. Sometimes they say 50% food. Other times, sometimes they may say 1/3 food, 1/3 water, 1/3 air, like that. Anyway, the point is, you don't fill the belly just with food. You have to also take water, drink water, especially in this climate. Very dry here this time of the year. You have to be sure to drink water to keep healthy, and we have to leave air also in the body. If there's no air, then the body won't be able to digest. So there's a quota. You eat too much, what happens? Diabetes, right? And if you eat too little, what happens? Huh? Tuberculosis, yeah, TB, yeah. So yogi does not eat too much or too little, Prabhu.
Another question. Recently, I'm traveling with some friends. I have one friend in particular who really sees money as Krishna's energy.
So he doesn't want to spend too much money on like a ticket somewhere, right? Because he really does get a Christian energy. But I can't travel like a certain the sleeper class or like the no sleeper class. That would be the cheapest thing. That would be the cheapest way to travel on train would be like lower the sleeper class and no air conditioning. But I know that my body, I'd be so miserable. So how do you? Because he's right. That money is Christian energy. And he's trying to sort of the least amount possible. But on the other hand, I can't handle that physically. And I'm going like a different class. So how do you, could you maybe talk about that a little bit?
Yeah, well, these are sensitive issues. Everything has to be considered according to time and place, circumstances. It's going to be different for different people. Some people, just like you say, some people they need to have certain facilities, and other people they don't. They feel uncomfortable with the extra facilities. And so we have to be accommodating. We have to understand everything according to every individual's needs. And try to make arrangements.
I have another that question, how can we apply this principle if, for example, we know that in the earth there is different territories. One territory is more sunny than the other, so most people would like to live in the sunny part of the territory. And we know that everything belongs to God, and we have different ethnics of people, and how do they decide between each other? If, for example, they have different natures and they don't really like to live with each other, like, for example, Brahman and Shudra, how can they, maybe it's not very compatible, or I don't know what, but how can they decide who should live on that territory? What would be the principle? I like this sunny place. You like the sunny place, but I don't really want to live with you. I'm sort of a clean Brahmana. You're a Shudra, you'll spoil everything.
Well, usually the Brahmanas will live with other Brahmanas. There's actually, usually you see the Brahmanas, they have their homes around the temple. And the Sudras, those people who are of different nature, they will have their area. They can all live in the same town, and within the same town there can be Brahmanas, there can be Sudras, and different classes of people, but generally, Sudras may be in one part of the town, the Brahmanas in another part of the town. Just like you were saying about you traveling, it comes the same with eating. Somebody, they can eat, they can eat very little, like a bird, they hardly eat anything. But somebody else, they have to eat more. They have a different body. Some people, even they're very thin, but still they eat huge amounts. They can eat a lot. And you can't say, oh, you're eating too much. Everybody knows what they need to eat. They know how much they need to eat. So it's up to every individual according to their needs to make proper arrangement that they're able to be happy and healthy and satisfied. If you have to accept too much austerity, if you have to starve yourself, you don't get food, then you won't be able to work. Your mind will be disturbed. And so in order to make proper arrangements for your working, you have to make sure you take care of your basic needs.
Just have a feeling that the people will not really like to agree that, it's just we who live here, and we're going to feel comfortable. You go live there somewhere, that would be like... Well,
but there are villages like that. You go, there's certain towns around here, the Brahman, just like you go to Mayapur, where that Madan Gopal deity is there. That place is all Brahmanas. The people who live in that town, they were all Brahmanas. But not now. Not now. Now you've got all the Sudras who came from Bangladesh or something, they all came, And the people who used to live there, they all went to the city, they went to Calcutta or Delhi, and but originally in Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's time, that village was all Brahmanas. And there are a few other places around here where you have a lot of Brahman towns, the villages all mostly Brahmanas.
What if Shudras came to that place and said, why do you live here?
Well, the Shudra is not going to be very happy there. You see, that's the thing. He'll soon understand, I don't really belong there. Because the Brahmanas are not going to associate with him. They're not going to welcome him. The Shudra will feel out of place. He won't be able to find proper employment so well. He won't have the friendship. He won't feel the sense of belonging to the community, which is...
You can say, you're just Brahmanas, you go somewhere else. This is a place which I like.
Well, he can try it. Of course, but the Brahmanas will just ostracize. They'll just ignore him. Just like when Bhakti-Siddhanta Saraswati first had parikrama, he was bringing parikrama to Vrindavan. The Brahmanas in Vrindavan did not like it, because Bhakti-Siddhanta Saraswati Prabhupada was giving the Brahmin thread to people who were not Brahmanas. So what did they do? They closed the stores. They wouldn't sell anything. They said, we don't want your money, we don't want to do business with you. They closed the store. Didn't want to accommodate them at all. They had to face these kind of obstacles. So, these things are there. Okay, have a break, 12 o'clock. Gayatri. Okay, we're on this very important topic about quotas. Have you ever been on Sankirtan to give you a quota? Yeah? You had that? You've been through all that? The quotas. You got to do your quota, Prabhu. Don't come back till you do your quota. Right? So we have our quotas, 4 regulative principles, 16 rounds. Right? There are quotas. Those are quotas which we should certainly honor. I was saying brahmachari marriages, you know, they need a lot of saris, you know. It said Lord Chaitanya had 5 sets of cloth. I heard somebody say Lord Chaitanya had 5 sets of cloth. He would, as a sannyasi, he would have 5 sets of cloth. It's quite a few, actually. So we do have some quotas. Quotas about, we talked about eating and sleeping. Don't eat too much, don't sleep too much or too little. There is a lot of regulation there in our life. We're asking you some areas where you may be challenged in applying this principle. Our quotas. One time I was presenting the nectar of instruction to a group of congregational devotees in the Middle East, in I think it was Dubai, and we were doing nectar of instruction, and it comes up about dadati pratigrinati, and Prabhupada talks how householders should give 50% of their income. Yeah, they all laughed. Yeah, that is a challenge. Householders, Prabhupada recommends they should give 50% for the Krishna consciousness movement. Is that a challenge? Well, yeah, it's not easy to understand exactly how we should apply this, and how Rupa Goswami, when he was retiring, he divided his wealth. He was retiring, at that point of retiring, going off to go to Vrindavan and be a Babaji, so he could, divide his wealth like that. But Prabhupada does say, he does write in the Nectar of Instruction about how, householders should give percentage for the service of Krishna.
How we can apply this? If we are taking, say, 1,000 rupees every month, we have to give 500 rupees to the temple, or we have to first to pay our bills? Well,
that is the question. Some devotees do analyze it like that. They say that, well, that's after your basic expenses. Whatever you earn, then you have to take off. You have to have certain things. You have to, you need transportation. You have to pay. Maybe you have a car. You have to pay for the car. You need money for petrol. You have to have a house. You have a family. You've got to pay rent, or you're paying a mortgage for that. And so after you take all these things away, then you give 50% of what's left. Is it like that? Maybe. Maybe. Difficult to understand how it should be. Should it be, definitely you have to take care. You have responsibilities. You have a family to support. You have to provide for them. You can't just give everything, or you can't just give. If you have 1,000 rupees and you only give them 500, and you give 500 to the temple, then what do? Well, maybe they come to the temple and ask the temple when they need something. They should come and eat in the temple, eat prasadam every day in the temple. And I think Prabhupada actually liked that idea that the devotees were coming and having prasadam at the temple. But sometimes it's not suitable. You may have a family, or your home may be a little far from the temple. You may not be able to come to the temple. There are many challenges in trying to apply these kind of principles. And householders, they may say, well, I'm using all my money in the service of Krishna, because their family are all devotees. And our temple, we worship our deity, and everything we cook at home, we offer to the deity. So they could say that I'm using all my money in the service of Krishna. What about brahmacharis? It's not only householders. What about brahma? We could say the brahmachari, everything they have to give to the guru. Right? Brahmachari should go out and collect alms, and whatever they collect, they should give it to the guru. Brahmacharis don't keep any money, right?
I don't like that statement.
Huh?
I don't like that statement.
You didn't like that statement, Prabhu. Oh.
I want to enjoy.
You want to enjoy. And sometimes I was with one sannyasi said, he said, Brahmachari means whatever possessions you have, you can fold them up in a piece of cloth and you hang it on the door. Or you hang it on the wall. That the Brahmachari will only keep that much as he can bind in a cloth. And he'll fold it and hang it on the... Nowadays Brahmacharis have big cabinets full of so many things,
Are sannyasis in more of a renounced order than brahmachari?
Are sannyasis?
In more of a renounced order than brahmachari?
Are sannyasis in more of a renounced order than brahmachari? Are they? I don't know. What do you mean renounced order? Renounced order means body, mind and words in the service of Krishna.
In the looking at the amount of assets, the amount of physical possessions a brahmachari may have versus some sannyasis and the amount of physical possessions they have. Does it become too much at some point for either one?
To have too many possessions, you mean? Well, yeah, of course it does. It can be, over collecting is mentioned, nectar of instruction, right? You can see the parallel, the comparison between nectar of instruction and Ishopanishad here in the beginning, and the nectar of instruction also, the second verse, atyahara, over collecting. Oh, it's certainly a problem. You know, it is a problem. You have to be constantly thinking what to do with this. You know, people come as a sannyasi and as a spiritual master having some disciples. You inevitably show, you receive different gifts. They come and they give you things, and if you don't accept it, it's a problem. Person's really hurt. If somebody comes and they give you something, if you don't accept it, it's not very nice. It's actually part of the etiquette to receive the gifts. But the thing is that once we get it, you've always got to think what to do with it. Who am I going to give this to to make use of it? Because you get so many things. People come, they give you food. Somebody come, they give you prasadam, they give you the maha, they give you this, they give you and you're in, what to do with it. You don't want to immediately just go out and give it to somebody because the person gave it to you. You gave it as a gift. I was with Giriraj Swami one time in London. We went to see this one man, very rich man. He owned a hospital in Bombay. I think it was Hinduja family, and very wealthy. And they run the Jaslok Hospital in Bombay, a very big hospital, and they're very big business people. So I went with Giriraj and some other devotees. We all went to this man's house, and the man came and personally gave each devotee, a donation. He gave us each money. So one of the devotees who was there immediately in front of the man stood up and gave it to Giriraj. And gave it to Giriraj Swami. So the man was not happy. He said, no, look, I gave it to you, He said, I'll give Giriraj. He said, but this is for you. Now this devotee, he was a grihasta, and he felt uncomfortable taking charity from the man, you see. But the man actually wanted to give each devotee. So Giriraj Maharaj pointed out afterwards, he said, you can give it afterwards. You don't have to immediately give it. The idea is you receive it and then the man is happy, he's given some. And then afterwards, then you come and you can give it to Giriraj. You give the money to Giriraj, And then Giriraj, he has to worry about it. He has to do something with the money. But it's a difficult situation. People giving you things and then making proper use of it. Of course, we have this big temple now. You get money, you just, okay, give it over there, let them use it for the construction. They need so many millions. Nobody's going to give me enough to build that temple anyway, so whatever they give, if it's in cash at least, you can give it there for the temple, for the building of the temple. That's one way of taking care of having too much funds. Certainly as a sannyasi and a spiritual master, you don't want to be in that position of having too much, of collecting too much. And you have to constantly monitor it. You have to constantly be looking at the situation. And sometimes you don't want to be too short. Like sometimes you go traveling, you go to another country, and they may ask you, have you got money? They ask you these kind of things. You go to some countries, they want to know, how much money you carry. You're coming here to this country, have you got money? Have you got some credit cards? Or, sometimes it's a problem. You can be stuck in these situations. You didn't carry any money, you don't have any, and you're coming to immigration and they want to see some money, you don't have it. Sometimes, you don't have an onward ticket, you go on a one-way ticket and they want to see where you're going from here, You're not from this country, you're coming to visit our country, how long are you going to stay? Where's your onward ticket? These kind of problems come up. So, you need some money, you don't want to have too much. You need certain things, just like cloth. Winter like this, you have to have enough cloth to keep warm. You have to be able to protect your body so you don't get too sick. But not too much. Gaur-Kishore Das Babaji or Jagannath Das Babaji, I can't remember which, there's an example. Somebody came to him, gave him a nice cloth and money, and he was keeping it by his side. And the man was thinking, see, he's attached. I gave him this nice cloth, I gave him the gold coin, he's attached. But he took it and he gave it to some other person. He gave it away to some brahmana who he thought deserved it. He didn't take it for himself. So similarly as sannyasis, as brahmacharis, we have that duty to perform. You often, as devotees, people often give charity, but we don't think it's for us. It's not for our personal benefit, but we want to use it for Krishna. We want to make sure it's properly used for Krishna. Prabhupada was asked, do people benefit if they give us money? Prabhupada said, that is up to you, how you use it. How you use it. Are you using it for Krishna's service? So, we're certainly challenged in these principles, accepting our quota.
So our quota can grow if it's being used in Krishna's service.
Our quota can grow. We can utilize the whole world for the service of Krishna. It is up to us. What are we able to use in Krishna's service? How much are we able to utilize in Krishna's service? Sometimes we can get attached. We can think, this is mine. We start to think like that. And therefore Lord Chaitanya says, Nadanam najanam na sundari. He doesn't want wealth or any of these things. We have to be always monitoring these situations. So there are challenges for everyone. You were asking about temples, like you may be distributing books and you have a nice zone, and then other people come there and they start distributing. But Prabhupada didn't mind that. He said anybody can go anywhere for book distribution. And similarly also when it comes to disciples, we shouldn't think, my disciple. That's also, that becomes a little bit material. Think everything. He's my disciple. We should see everything in relation to Krishna and Prabhupada, the Krishna consciousness movement. It's easy for us to forget this principle that everything belongs to Krishna. We're thinking, my temple. I'm the temple in this city. I got a call the other day. One devotee was saying, oh, this other devotee she's taken all my devotees away. She took all my people away to her place, and they don't come to me anymore. I said, well, this is good. I said, now you have to go and make new devotees. And I said, if you want your devotees to come back, you have to attract them. But people have free will. You can't force people that they have to stay with you. They're yours. They belong to you. This is yours. Everything belongs to Krishna. It's Krishna's. Everywhere are his arms and legs. Prabhupada said, these arms and legs which we have, they all belong to Krishna. They're not ours. These arms and legs which we have in our bodies, they're meant for the service of Krishna. We have to use them for Krishna. And so there are challenges in these things. What are some of your challenges? Are you challenged, Prabhu? Do you have any challenges? Are you a grihastha? Yeah? How many children? 3 children. What age?
13, 8, and 3 years old.
Okay. Which country are you from?
France.
From France. Oh, very good. Yeah, we need more devotees there in France. So, are you challenged to understand that your wife and children belong to Krishna? Yeah. How can we overcome it? How can we overcome this challenge? We're thinking, my wife, my children. We have to hear. We have to hear regularly. We have to associate with devotees. We have to be hearing this philosophy again and again. Prabhupada's constantly reminding us, you're not the body, you're the soul. You are all servants of Krishna. Everything belongs to Krishna. We have to keep hearing. We have to keep engaging in Krishna's service. It will help us to overcome these challenges. Our conditioning is very deep. We've been in the material world a very long time. We're nitya-buddhas. We've been here so long. We're eternally conditioned souls. It's not going to be, not immediately we'll get over all these things, all of these challenges. This conception that this is mine, this is my service, I do this is always there. So, there are challenges. Brahmacharis, they have to sleep anywhere. They're not too worried about living conditions, just like the Bengali brahmacharis go out in the buses. Abai was out there on the buses, they go traveling around. Quite austere. Every day moving, different places. You don't get attached, right? Some people come, they come, they see Vrindavan, immediately they go back. Oh, terrible, I can't, They cannot accept. Parikrama, going on parikrama, moving, that's about as much austerity as people can manage sometimes. 1 week. So, we have to apply this principle that there is a quota. It's not the same for everyone. Some people have to have more, and some people can do with less. If you can do with less, then do it. Don't be proud of it. Just do it. And if you need more, okay, then you have to say, some people need to sleep a little more. Some people need to eat a little more. Okay. But Basic needs are there. How about overcoming the challenges? How can we overcome them? We said one thing, it's very important, hearing. We have to hear. And in order to hear, you have to stay in the association of devotees. So we do encourage the people. Do you live near a temple, Prabhu?
We live just near Mayapur.
You're living in Mayapur. Where?
In the Grihastha house.
In the Grihastha house. What about in France? Are you going back to France or are you going to stay here?
No, we go back from time, so we come back.
Oh, your children go to school here?
Yeah, they go to school here.
Okay.
It's also a matter of the school, because last time I was talking with my wife, she told me, in the SMIS, the level is not very good. So what will you do in the future if your children want to go to the university? What will you do? Will you be accepted in the university overseas? So sometimes it's like that.
Oh, so for the children, higher education will be a problem because they have to go to university. If they go
to university,
then they have to go out of the environment.
So I said to my wife, it is a free will. Maybe one of them will be brahmachari.
Yeah, so child wants to go on to university. It's a challenge. But we hope that when they go to a university, they'll pick a university where there's a temple, where there's association with devotees. We've seen a lot of children from Mayapur go on to higher studies in university, but they try to pick a university where there's a temple nearby, where they have the opportunity to get association to be with devotees. That helps a lot. Yeah, we encourage devotees, try to stay near a temple. If you live far away from a temple, then it's harder. It's a challenge. Yeah?
This question, I tried to do this thing at work where before the money was deposited in my account, they would take a portion out and just directly give it to the temple. Like my employer would do that. I was trying to get that done, but they couldn't do it. So I thought that would be a good idea, because if I see the money in my account, I think it's mine. Right? I'll use it. But if it's like they automatically, before it even goes into my account, they take off a portion, then I won't miss it. So that was something I tried to do. It didn't work out. I had to do it on my own. But I think that's a good. I think it would help some people if they never see the full amount.
Yeah. Don't get too attached to it. Yeah.
Well, nowadays in the temples, at least where I come from, there's, for example, you can sponsor a feast, because every Sunday feast is sponsored. It costs about $400, $500.
Okay.
So, that's one example of how one can use this income. Or books. For example, nowadays, in the old days, you had your quota of books, but now some congregational members or anybody can pay for the books, and then the book distributors can give them for less money or
yeah.
That. So many arrangements.
Oh, there's a lot of arrangements for people to give money. Yeah. Yeah, we get a bit tired of it. All the new give for this, give for that. Anna Dan, Go Dan, Shastra Dan. Oh yeah. Yeah. Okay, so anyway, certainly there are challenges to these things, trying to practice this Ishyavasha living. But, Prabhupada mentions in the purport, he talks about how people should be vegetarian, right? That is, that's our quota, the vegetables, the vegetarian diet. That's actually proper food for the human being. We take more than our quota. People want to eat meat, That's not what they're supposed to be doing. They're taking more than their quota. And we're following certain quotas. Vegetarian diet. Then Prabhupada, just being a vegetarian, that's not enough. You have to offer it to Krishna. Somebody may have the mood that it doesn't belong to me, but they may not be devotees. What will that be like? Somebody has the mood, okay, I'll just take my quota, I'll just live very simply, detached, very detached, but they're not devotees. It won't be quite the same. They're not going to get the same pleasure, they're not going to feel that same satisfaction. Generally, you find when people try to do like that they can't maintain that very long. We even see devotees, people come to the Krishna consciousness movement, and they're quite optimistic and enthusiastic in the beginning, but at some point they give up, they go away. The process is okay, but the problem is with them, that they themselves are not able to practice. What about our society? How it could be improved through the application of Ishavasya? You were bringing up many points about our society, within our institution, people coming in our areas or interfering. We get attached. Sometimes you're made a temple president, and then you get kicked out. Okay, we don't want you anymore. And you can feel really disappointed, really hurt. I worked so hard for this temple. I collected so much money. And sometimes people distributed a lot of books, and collected a lot of money, and then at some point they have some problem with the management. So all of this can be overcome by the Ishavasya. If we cultivate this proper mood that everything is for Krishna, everything belongs to Krishna. And if the people who are on the other side, if you say, well, I'm Krishna conscious, I know it belongs to Krishna, it's them. Then what should be done? We should Krishna will adjust. In time, Krishna will adjust. If somebody is taking charge or, manipulating, taking control over something, and they're doing it with the wrong motive, then Krishna will not allow it to go on for very long. Krishna will adjust. Krishna will eventually have them also moved out. And we have seen in the course of the Krishna consciousness movement, many things happened, and because the motivation was not pure, because it was not just to give to Krishna, there were problems. Things went wrong. Okay. Any other points before we go on? We could discuss all the problems of ISKCON. That could go on for a very long time. One devotee was saying he attended an interfaith conference, and they were talking to some Catholic priest. And the Catholic priest was saying, he said, I appreciate your philosophy. He said, we can learn a lot from your people. Your theology is very good. You have a lot of nice knowledge. He said, but you need to learn management from us. He was saying, the Catholic Church, their management, their organization structure is much more developed and refined than we have in the Krishna consciousness movement. We still have a long way to go to perfect all of these things. They've had many hundreds of years to build up and develop their techniques. We still need some time.
It's easier to remain in ISKCON if you constantly remember that Prabhupada's ISKCON has no problems. It's the people who have the problems.
Yeah, that's right. The society, the process is perfect. The problems are with the people. You say, I'm a devotee. Okay, devotee means that everything belongs to Krishna. Nothing is ours. So that's important. Next verse, mantra 2. One may aspire to live for hundreds of years if he continues going on working in that way. What way? What are they talking about? Yeah, in the Ishavash, if we work in that spirit that everything belongs to God, that He is the proprietor, if we just take our quota, then you can live a long life. You can expect to live for hundreds of years. Why? Because they will not bind him to the law of karma. So this, you can see how the second mantra flows from the first mantra. In the first mantra, Krishna is speaking. There's a proprietor. We are not the proprietor. The Lord is the proprietor. And we should be happy with our quota. Our quota is what is given to us honestly, by our own honest endeavor. If you have to work unfairly, if you have to cheat and lie or exploit others, that is not your quota. When we work honestly, what comes by our honest endeavor, that is our quota. Be satisfied with that. Don't take more. And then when we work like that, then we can live for hundreds of years. What's the Sanskrit? Read the Sanskrit, mantra 2. Yeah. Jijivishek chatam samaha. Hundreds of years. Chatam samaha. Satam samaha. Hundreds of years. You can have jijivise. You can live for hundreds of years. Kurvan evaha karmani. When we work, when we do our karma, we perform our duty according to the principles of God consciousness. Means honest endeavor in a detached manner. Then we can have a long life. Mind will be peaceful, we'll be happy. We may not be rich, but you don't have to be rich to be happy. The happiest people in the world, they say, was in Bangladesh. They're not the richest people, but they're among the happiest people. Probably Balinese people are also very happy. Huh? In Indonesia, are they happy there? People are happy? Not really? Means they're not God conscious. They're not working in the Ishavasha spirit. But, if we have that spirit that God is the proprietor and we're just working, do our duty, do what we're supposed to do, that's detached. That's God consciousness. So, in the purport of Mantra 2, Prabhupada speaks about this. He talks about different kinds of karma, doing your duty. He says there's karma, akarma, vikarma, and then he explains how devotee, intelligent people should aspire to do akarma, or nice karmya. Nice karmya means no reactions to the work. And how we can achieve that. Then Prabhupada talks. He said many people may not be ready in the beginning to do bhakti yoga. Bhakti yoga requires people chanting, reading, hearing Bhagavatam, seeing the deity, go to Arti. Not everybody can do it. How many people can do that? Maybe for a week they can do it, but if you ask them, year after year to do these things, to go bow down, offer Arti, some people, I can't do this, I can't do this. So Prabhupada recommends, he writes in the purport there, how in the beginning we can encourage people to do karma yoga. What is karma yoga? Karma yoga means? Yes, doing our duty in a detached manner. That you give some portion of the result of your work. Remember, there's two kinds of karma yoga. There is sakama karma yoga and niskam karma yoga. So in the beginning it will be sakama karma yoga, that we're a little attached, but okay, we sacrifice a little bit for Krishna. Give something. There's the example there. The man comes begging, and the woman doesn't want to give anything. Oh no, this beggar has come to my house. I will give him some ashes. So the man said, yes, okay, give me ashes. And the woman gives ashes. And the man, okay, she gave me. The man is happy. The woman gave something. It was worthless. It was just some ashes. Worthless. But she's given. She started to give something. In the future, she'll give more. Huh? Maybe more. But often people, they start to feel guilt that I should have given something. Anyway, next time he comes, I'll give him something. You know, you go on Sankirtan book distribution, you've had these experiences. I was in the parking lot one day and one guy came, I gave him a little book. He gave me a few cents, a little change. So I gave him another book. He was so happy. He gave me more. He gave me $5. I gave him a big book. He gave me another $20. I started off, he just gave a few cents. But because I was appreciating, the more I gave, the more he gave. So that it's a giving. Giving is like, get people to start giving, and then gradually give more and more.
Yes, Maharaj, I'm doing so many work in the temple, like sweeping, you call it Karma Yoga. Is it right?
Working in the temple?
Yeah, like cleaning the temple, sweeping. Sorry, they call it Karma Yoga.
Karma Yoga? Yeah. Yes, that's Karma Yoga. But Karma Yoga is also done by Mayavadis. Not only devotees. You go to the Mayavadi ashrams, the yoga ashrams in the Rishikesh, and they'll say, you want to do some Karma Yoga? They'll ask you, come and clean the temple, come and cut the vegetables. Mayavadis also do Karma Yoga. Therefore, Lord Chaitanya rejected Karma Yoga. Because, other people, Mayavadis also, not devotees of Krishna, they may also do Karma Yoga. We have to do it for Krishna. You see, they're thinking Karma Yoga, they're thinking, give up, they're detached. Okay, give it to Shiva, give it to Durga, give it to Brahma, give it to Krishna. They think it's all one, all the same. So that's the problem with Karma Yoga. That Mayavadis also they get in there and they do this Karma Yoga. So we have to be careful how we channel that they're working for Krishna. Give it for Krishna. So Prabhupada doesn't usually speak too much about Karma Yoga. He calls it Bhakti Yoga because Karma Yoga will become Bhakti Yoga. Karma Yoga, they don't know who they're working for. They don't know why they're working. They don't know their relationship with Krishna. They're just detached. They do the duty and they're detached. But as they get more knowledge, then they start to understand. Then it comes towards Bhakti Yoga. Okay? So, mantra 3, the killer of the soul, whoever he may be, must enter into the planets known as the worlds of the faithless, full of darkness and ignorance. Andam tamaha pravishanti yevityaya upashate tata bhuya evate tamo osam yeke chatma hanojanaha. Okay. So, Atmahana, the killer of the soul. The killer of the soul. Is it possible? We say the soul cannot be cut, cannot be killed. But here they speak about Atmaha, the killer of the soul. So, what is the meaning? The one who neglects this Ishyavasya principle. We were hearing mantra 2, one who follows can live for hundreds of years. He has no karma. He's not getting any karma because he's working in the mood of Ishyavasya. Mantra 3 continues to describe what happens if you don't work in the Ishyavasya mood. if you neglect this Ishavasha principle, then you enter into the world of the faithless, darkness and ignorance. Then you are killer of the soul. Can you see the relationship, the flow? Mantra 1, Mantra 2, Mantra 3. Mantra 1 is describing the Lord is the proprietor, everything is His, take your quota. Mantra 2 describes what happens when you follow that. And Mantra 3 describes what happens when you don't follow. Bhagavad Gita is often like that. They'll describe one situation, then they'll say what happens if you do, then what happens if you don't. Is it okay? Everybody clear on the flow mantras? And in the purport, Prabhupada gives this analogy. The boat is compared to? Yeah, human body, right? And then what else you got on the boat? The captain? The spiritual master, yeah. And the winds are? Instructions, yeah, the Vedas, the scriptures, right. So an important analogy is given there. This is from Srimad Bhagavatam, 11th canto. Human being who does not utilize the human life to cross the ocean of material existence must be considered the killer of his own soul. Because he does not utilize the human life, he neglects the principle of the soul. So he is actually killer of the soul. So this is the example. Prabhupada explains from the purport, if with all these facilities a human being does not fully utilize his life for self-realization, he must be considered Atmaha, a killer of the soul. Sri Ishopanishad warns in clear terms that the killer of the soul is destined to enter into the darkest region of ignorance, to suffer perpetually. Atmaha. Oh yeah. Atmaha. Okay, so we talked about these things today. We explained the term Isha Vashya. Isha Avashya. Isha means the Lord. And Avashya means the controller, the proprietor. Yeah. And then there was Para and Apara Prakriti. Para means the superior energy, the spiritual energy, such as the living entities, right. And the Apara Prakriti, inferior material energy, made up of the 8 gross elements of material nature. We spoke about Bhagavat communism. You know, everything belongs to the Lord. Prabhupada told the story about the communists, how they would come and preach to the people. They would say to the people, go to your temples, pray to your God, ask Him for bread. And all the people would go to the temple and they'd pray to God. And then the communists would say, well, did you get bread? Did your God give you any bread? And they said, no, I didn't get any bread. And he said, okay, now ask us. Ask us. We are your communist party. You ask us for bread. Oh, my dear communist brother, can you give me bread? I said, just a minute. We'll bring the truck. Give the bread to the people. And then they had all the bread. They distributed bread to everyone. So they thought, people thought, communism is better than God. They give bread. But Prabhupada says, you should ask, where did you get the bread from, you rascal? Rascal communist, who gave you the bread? Who gave you the flour? Who gave you the fuel? Who gave you the power to cook the bread? Everything comes from God. So, like this, Prabhupada dismantled the communist argument that everything was coming from them.
Is it better to be a communist or is it better to be a capitalist? Because somebody really...
Prabhupada compares it to stool. Is dry stool better than wet stool? Somebody say, oh, this stool is dry. This is better. This wet stool, oh no. No, it's both stool. Capitalist or communist, it's both stools. So both are wrong, you know. Yeah. So best is, you have to be a devotee. And then Atmaha, meaning the killer of the soul. Okay, we talked, the conceptual flow from mantra 1 to 3 is nothing very difficult. That we're simply saying God is the proprietor, take your quota, and when you accept your quota, you don't have any karma. There's no bondage. You can live for a long time. But if you don't follow mantra 3 says, then you can go into darkness and ignorance, put into hellish situation. Personal application. Discuss ways the principle of tena chaktena bunjataha, meaning accepting our quota, how it can be applied in our lives. Accepting our quota. Have you got some appreciation from today about how we could more recognize what is actually our quota? You know, I'm stressing that the main thing is that our quota can be understood by what we can achieve without over-endeavor. If you have to over-endeavor to get something, then it's not good. You know, somebody, I have to get this scholarship, I want to go, like I knew some people, they were studying, they wanted to get a scholarship to go to America, and they have to give up everything, give up all the association, all the spiritual. I just have to study, I have to get this scholarship. If you have to sacrifice everything, it's not worth it. It's not worth it if you have to kill yourself, get some job and you have to work so many hours, or you have to travel so far away from home and you have no time, you can never come for any program, you have no time to chant your rounds, you have no time to even, go on the internet to hear a class, then it's not worth it. Oh, you can't be a vegetarian. Sometimes people tell me, oh, there's no vegetarian, I've got this new job, there's no food, there's no vegetarian. Is it worth it? Forget it. You have to understand, what is actually our quota. Sometimes, we get carried away, too much ambition, too much material desire. So whatever comes, whatever can be achieved by honest endeavor, without too much over-endeavor. We don't want to be too lazy. Certainly Krishna told Arjuna, fight. He made Arjuna do his duty. Arjuna had to fight. We also have to work. But it's not only work. Not only just work and make money. That is not the real principle of Ishopanishad. So recognizing what can be easily achieved, that is actually our quota. Any questions on that, Prabhu?
If, for example, there is a rich person with a rich family of devotees, for them to apply this principle, is it enough to sacrifice 50% of their benefits, of their salaries? Is that enough to fulfill this principle?
Yes. Prabhupada actually, there's one purport where Prabhupada writes, it's the duty of all rich people that they should give 50% of their assets or their income for the Krishna consciousness movement. Yes, 50% is good. If they can give that, they're very nice. We're happy. We don't say you have to give more, you have more, you should give more. No, if you're giving 50%, that's very good. Very ideal. There's one case I heard that Bhakti-Siddhanta Saraswati had one disciple, and his disciple gave everything to Bhakti-Siddhanta Saraswati. And his family used to have to come to Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati. The wife would come and say, I need to pay the rent, I need money for this. He had to come to the Guru all the time to get money. So, that's a bit of a trouble, bother the Guru with all of these affairs. But generally, if somebody is able to give 50%, then it's very exemplary. Yeah. They have a lot. Just like Ambarish, he gave, how much he gave? 30 million or something for building this. I don't know if that's 50%, but, nobody's going to argue and say, come on, you should have given more. Everybody appreciates, very nice. We talked about current affairs circumstances where Ishavasya principle could be applied. Certainly different labor disputes, land issues, border disputes, these kind of things. The Ishavasya principle could save all of these problems. Prabhupada called United Nations just barking dogs. So many nations come together and they just argue with each other. No real unity. Just a colourful display of flags. They put nice flags. The flags look very nice, but nothing is achieved because they don't have that Ishavasya principle. They're still thinking my country, what my country needs. Your country different. They're still thinking in terms of I and mine. We talked about Prabhupada's life and his application of the Ishavasya principle. Prabhupada set up the temples, how they should be organized, the income of the temple, that not one person can control the funds. There has to be 2 or 3 signers. Everything, like that, the understanding that it belongs to Krishna. Nobody should think, this is my temple, my funds, my money, I control. But we see it all in connection with this principle of Ishavasya. We had the analogy of the boat there. We spoke about the cow also taking the straw, taking its quota. The tiger has to eat meat, he gets meat. And we're talking about how our society could be improved through application of the Ishavasya principle. The more we have this mood that it all belongs to Krishna, the mood of sharing. Sometimes you get devotees, they have a big collection of books. And you ask, Prabhu, could I borrow that book from you? No, you get your own book. They have a big collection, he's a brahmachari, he's living and he's got a big collection of books and you want to borrow one book. Sometimes these kind of situations. So Ishavasya principle, we want to share and also care. It's important for us that we don't think, oh well, it's Krishna's Prabhu, don't worry about it. We have to take care of Krishna's property. Very important for us. Okay. So Prabhupada said, there is no harm in becoming a family man, or an altruist, a socialist, a communist, a nationalist, or a humanitarian, provided that one executes his activities in relation with Ishavasya, God-centered conception. So, yeah, you can be a communist, but be a communist in relation to God, and see Krishna. Don't be a mundane material Marxist or like that, but follow the Ishavasya principle. And you can be an altruist, social, you can work for a nationalist, okay, but give Krishna consciousness. See the country, this land, this country, we're so proud of, it's Krishna's, it belongs to Krishna. So spiritualize these conceptions. Family life is also very good. We want to have to show ideal family life. that ideal family life is God-centered. The center of the family is the worship of Krishna. Yeah. We have many great devotees who were family men. Lord Nityananda, Dvaita Acharya, Srivas Thakur, they were all family men. They were all great devotees. So being in the family life it's not a problem if we're God conscious. Okay, so Sri Ishopanishad advises us to exert our energy in the spirit of Ishavasya. Being so engaged, we may wish to live for many, many years. You want to live a long time? You inclined that way? Srila Prabhupada ki. Okay, any questions? Final questions or comment, Prabhu? Yeah?
Well, in the purport to verse 1, towards the end, there's mentioned that the root of sin is deliberate disobedience of the laws of nature, disregarding the proprietorship of the Lord. So my question is, earlier in Nectar of Devotion, we heard that the root of sin is ignorance. And here it's mentioned as a deliberate disobedience, meaning I have knowledge, but I still disobey. That is said as the root of sin.
Well, that is also a type of ignorance, so we could see that also as a type of ignorance, and deliberate disobedience of the laws of God. But we're so ignorant, we think we can disobey the laws of God and we won't suffer for it. So that is also ignorance.
Taking what is to be correct as incorrect and incorrect as correct, that's more of ignorance. We say that, like, what is appropriate, we take it as inappropriate. What is inappropriate, we take it as appropriate. So I know this is God's law. I'll deliberately disobey it.
Yeah.
And face the consequences. That is in the mode of ignorance. Is that how? Is that a correct way of looking at it?
You know it's God's laws.
And I did.
And you disobey.
I deliberately disobey.
Yeah.
So that is like doing improper action.
Yeah.
And thinking that to be proper. So that is also ignorance.
Yeah, definitely. That's ignorance. Yeah. Somebody tells you not to do it, but you think I'll do it anyway, and I'll get away with it. Yeah, that's ignorance. Prabhu?
Yes, Maharaj, the third mantra says the killer of the soul must enter the paradise known of world, faithless, full of darkness and ignorance. And Prabhupada said in the purport that the greatest fear is to go to become animal kingdom. So what is the difference between we and animals going to hell? Because what is it?
Oh, it's the same thing practically. But, you go, being animal life, that is also hell, isn't it? Being put in the animal body. Because in the animal body you have no opportunity to cultivate God consciousness. In the animal body we're just fully controlled by the modes of nature. So it is a type of hell. It's a punishment, being put into the animal body. Just as going into hell and put in a wok of boiling oil or punished by Yamadutas, it's a hell. But the animal body is also a hell. It's also a punishment. Just different degrees of punishment.
Here in mantra 2, it is in the text it is chatam, and in the word for word translation is shatam.
Shatam, yeah.
Why is that?
Oh, this is Sanskrit grammar. You have to.
This is the something, the flow of the words. It's grammatical. Well, it's not even grammatical. It's like
It's the same.
Yeah. Prabhu, you had a question?
If you attend your sharing care nature, or you buy your way back to Godhead, as it were, by donating money, do you receive mercy in this lifetime? Does it lower your karma?
If you give it for Krishna consciousness, yes, definitely. That's what Prabhupada's talking about in that purport when he's speaking about karma yoga. He said, not everybody will be able to take up bhakti yoga in the beginning, but let them do some karma yoga that gives them their hard-earned wealth. They give it for the service of God. So that's the highest charity. That charity qualifies them for bhakti yoga. Yesham tvantagatam papam jananam punya karmanam. What is that punya karma? That is serving the devotees. So somebody gives some money for the Krishna consciousness movement, they get the highest benefit. It qualifies them to take up bhakti yoga. And so that's our mission as devotees. We're trying to engage people. We get them to donate, we get them to do something, even to give ashes, whatever, try to engage them, give something for Krishna, because that will qualify them to become devotees in the future. Agyata Sukriti, right? There were some other questions? Yes, Brahma?
What if I have many useless things in my house? If I spread it around, people who are interested in these useless things, is it okay?
Get rid of it, yeah.
Is that okay?
Yeah, good.
In that case, we doesn't get karma from them.
What, if we give our useless things away to people? No. It's good. Get rid of it. Your house becomes more, you become more detached, you can become more focused on Krishna. Yeah, you don't want to be over collecting. You have to be careful. We keep so many things, so many shoes, so many clothes, things we never worn for years. You still have them, old books, you never looked at. Yeah, better to, give them away, get rid of them.
But in this case, I'm spreading something which is useless.
Yeah.
So it's very pious activity to do that. It is very good to do that in church. If I spread a book which is complete, karma.
Well, they may become interested, that they may start to understand you must have something better. You're giving all these things away. What have you got which is better?
So in this case, they won't take it.
Just like the man Sanatana Goswami gave the touchstone, and the man thought, hey, come on, what have you got which is better? You're giving away this touchstone. You must have something more valuable. So he wanted the most valuable thing. So you tell them, I don't need these things anymore. If you want something more valuable, you can give them Krishna consciousness. Yeah. Yeah, it's preaching.
Maharaj, Prabhupada said that 2 ways to cultivate devotee. 1 by preaching, and 2 by giving birth to devotee.
Giving?
Birth. Produce. Get married and birth children. Yeah.
Oh, giving birth.
Yeah. So the 2 ways, which one is more beneficial?
Preaching or making devotees? Well, preaching is the essence, right? Yeah. How many children you can give birth to? But you can make many devotees. It takes a long time to raise a child, and even you raise a child, you don't know there'll be a devotee, because you can't tell. It's not an easy thing to raise children to be Krishna conscious devotees. It's the biggest challenge, the most difficult thing, to bring children up that they will take up Krishna consciousness. It's really not an easy thing at all, but very important. We do appreciate that. It's a very important service, because those children, they're our future devotees. We don't know how long you'll be able to keep making devotees. Well, one devotee was giving class a few years ago. I remember she was saying that there's no religion in the world that went on making devotees or converting people to their church after more than 100 years. After about 100 years, you have a hard time trying to bring people or trying to convert people to Krishna consciousness. Even now we find it really difficult. You know, what was quite much easier in the 70s is much more difficult nowadays, isn't it, Prabhu?
Maharaj, this is a very important question for Prabhu because he's getting married soon.
Yeah, so definitely, you know, have children. Prabhupada recommend, well, you know, have a child, you know, it's nothing, it's good. Yeah, we need Krishna conscious children, very important service. But try to preach also, because that will also be good for your child. If she sees you preaching, if your child sees you preaching, then they know, oh, I should also preach. Just follow your example.
So you mentioned that those people, those devotees who were raised in the conscious family, they are very pure. They must have not eaten meat at all in their life.
Yeah.
Their purity is very.
Yeah, we have some Abai is like that. Abai. Yeah, we have quite a few people around Mayapur like that.
This kind of devotees, they're like precious to ISKCON because they're pure, because of their purity.
Yeah. Yeah.
How about the devotee with bad habits?
A devotee with bad habits?
Yeah.
Like what?
If someone brought from devotee's family, he mentioned the person like very special. But how about a person born from maybe Chandala or something like that?
What's the difference between the
We don't make a distinction. Everybody's got the opportunity to be Krishna conscious. Krishna says everyone, Striyo Vaishas Tata Sudras Tepi Yanti Param Gatim. Even though we be of low birth, still we can approach the supreme destination if we take shelter of Krishna. We don't criticize a person because of their birth. That is an offense. If we criticize someone because of being low-born or being from a low caste or being from or even doing past sinful habits, we don't criticize them for that. That becomes aparad. No. See everyone equally. Okay, so we'll stop. Hare Krishna. So tomorrow we're going on 4, 5, 6, 7. Please look over the text. Hare Krishna.